Today we're going to come up with a completely new video idea for MrBeast. My name's Yasin, and as you might have seen, MrBeast is hiring. He needs help making the greatest YouTube videos of all time, and I actually applied to work for his company as an ideation strategist. When I was writing my application, I actually came up with a completely original MrBeast video idea. And I thought, what better way for me to push my application over the edge than for me to share that idea with the MrBeast recruitment team. I did spend a good amount of time building this idea out, and rather than going through every single detail, which would take way too long, I cut it down to just a lot of the highlights and parts of the videos that I really liked and that I thought would be really important to share. So this is a tool called Miro. It's a tool I used a lot when I was an intern at Apple. It's this collaborative whiteboard where you can just throw your ideas together. They have these cool templates that I thought would be great for just showcasing how I thought through this video idea. So let's start with the idea. Capture the flag, but with money. You have two teams, both of which have $100,000 in a pile. And the goal, like Capture the Flag, is for you to defend your $100,000 while trying to take some of the other team's $100,000. You would have a 1 hour time window. At the end of 1 hour, whichever team has more money gets to split that sum of money amongst their team members, while the other team gets nothing. So next, let's talk about some rules. Rule number 1 is it can't end in a tie. The second thing is you can't steal all $100,000 at once. I don't really know how you would logistically do that, but I figured some kind of system of creating a $1,000, $5,000, $10,000 kind of like packages or bundles or briefcases even would add a little bit more organization to things. The caveat to that is I do realize that just cash and piles and stacks of cash does look better in a thumbnail and just on camera. And so maybe grabbing loose cash is the answer, but my guess is that it's not going to be as organized as if we had briefcases or something like that. And the added benefit of doing something like briefcases would be the higher the price pool. So if you take a $10,000 briefcase, it would be heavier, or you could add some extra weight to it to make it more challenging for you to actually steal that larger sum of money. Two other parts of this is those labeled amounts of money, whether they're bags, whether they're briefcases, whatever they may be, you can either know how much you're stealing or not know how much you're stealing. So it can be exciting for you to say, I'm stealing this $10,000 briefcase, but if you're just constantly exchanging and capturing amounts of money without knowing, it does leave a little bit of suspense, like in the 100 girls versus 100 boys video, where we didn't know who the winner was, and both teams didn't know who was winning and who was losing. In traditional capture flag, you can just take the flag, and as long as you cross this line, your team has scored. But I'm thinking rather than that, you would actually have this kind of a money zone where you have to actually get it and make it all the way back to this money zone in order for you to cash in on that prize. But you still need this middle line for defense. So if somebody's hanging around over here, they need to be able to run to safety here if somebody here is trying to actually like tag them. Another question that kind of comes up when it comes to the rules would be what happens if you're caught with the money. In traditional capture the flag, the person who tags you usually grabs the flag from you and brings it back and does whatever. We could have that happen here where that person takes that cash, brings it back. Or I'm thinking we could have the boys, Chandler, Chris, Carl, all those people, serve as kind of like cash collectors. They could be riding around on like ATVs and just crazy vehicles and just carrying the cash back to where it has to be. It gives them an opportunity to be on camera, as well as just banter with people, which I think would be good. And those are the general rules that I had thought of initially in this kind of brainstorming session that I came up with. What I have noticed about MrBeast videos when it comes to the story is they do a really good job of being raw and real. They don't fabricate things, but rather they create very unique situations that have a high likelihood, not necessarily a guarantee, but a high likelihood for good content. Really recent and easy example of this is in the 100 boys versus 100 girls video, when they would bring the briefcases that were empty into each room to see how the contestants were going to react. In one example with the girls, they didn't do anything, so there was no content really. But in the other example with the boys, they put that briefcase there. Some boys took the bait and they opened it up to find, okay, wow, there's nothing in there. I did that for no reason. I feel a little bit like an idiot. Them putting the briefcases there has an opportunity to create content, but it's not necessarily a guarantee. And you could see that play out with how the girls reacted and how the boys reacted. Part of the reason that MrBeast is so successful at creating stories this way and coming up with content this way is because him and his team come up with really interesting twists. They'll cut a circle in half, they'll pay contestants to drop out of the competition, they'll do a lot of different things to, again, create those opportunities for drama and content to unfold. And so for part of this Capture the Flag video, I did actually come up with a couple of examples, but there's one in particular that I wanted to share with you. The idea I had was Betrayal. So MrBeast going to the losing team, picking somebody and say, hey, do you want to defect to the other team? That question alone gives you a lot of different opportunities to, again, set up for content, set up situations in which drama and things will occur that make for interesting videos. So I kind of listed them out here as the person leaves and they win, the person leaves and they lose, the person stays and they win, and the person stays and they lose. All 4 scenarios are going to get interesting reactions from the person as well as from the person's team / old team. And those reactions, I think, will make for very good content. And an additional thing that you could theoretically try that would kind of be a hat on a hat almost is putting the defection up to a vote by the other team. So MrBeast saying, hey, do you want to defect? If that person says yes, taking them to the new team and essentially saying, hey, this guy wants to join you. Do you guys want him to join you? Because there is the opportunity for them to say, hey, we're up 20 grand. It looks like we're going to win this thing. Like, I don't want to split it with another person theoretically. So like, no, I don't want to. And then that person who defected has to go back to the team in which he just betrayed almost, or maybe they do accept him because they're like, you know what, we need the help and things like that. It just, again, it doesn't guarantee anything, but it creates a scenario / situation in which drama and just interesting human reactions are more likely to evolve. So let's talk titles. Titles are obviously an incredibly important part to MrBeast videos. If we look at MrBeast's channel, we can identify a bit of a trend, right? It's a lot of so I survived a plane crash, I didn't eat food for 30 days, I built Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. A lot of followed by some kind of crazy endeavor. There is always that option, something along the lines of I played Capture the Flag with $100,000. You then do also have 100 girls versus 100 boys for $500,000. Like some money amount followed by like the game. So something along the lines of like $100,000 game of Capture the Flag. So something along those lines is what I would want to workshop essentially with the rest of the team / test in terms of thumbnails and click through. All right, now thumbnail. Thumbnails are obviously one of the most important parts of a video. It's very important to have it catch your eye. Again, looking at MrBeast's video, there are certain trends that I find, right? His face is everywhere and he has some kind of reaction, or at the very least, the human that is in the thumbnail has some kind of crazy reaction. Some kind of like, oh my God, whatever, shock, fear, whatever it may be. And then the other thing is he is always positioned on the left or middle, I should say. Middle, he's on the left, middle, he's on the left, middle, he's on the left, middle, left, right? He's always in the middle or on the left. And I would say the reason for that is middle, symmetry, pretty easily. Left is because us in the United States, we are used to reading things left to right. So our eyes naturally gravitate towards the left side of the image. And I think the first thing he wants you to see is him and the facial expression, because that's going to key you to thinking like, how am I supposed to feel going into this video? I'm supposed to feel excited. I'm supposed to feel, scared because there's a shark. I'm supposed to feel stressed out because I'm getting hunted by the military, right? He wants to really convey that emotion because that's more likely to get you to click, I think. And so he makes that very upfront and center. Translating that to the thumbnail of our video, we have 2 options. So the one that I'm leaning towards a little bit more is something in between these 2. Really, it's this picture. Because this is a picture that a lot of people can relate to when it comes to Capture the Flag. Capture the Flag is already a game that so many people have played and can relate to. And if you have played it and can relate to it, I know you can relate to this picture. So I'm thinking something along these lines, right? Where you have somebody who's like holding a bunch of cash, maybe a flag sticking out or something like that, trying to get away from somebody else like this FBI dude who's trying to catch them. One of the things that I would want to workshop is the order of operations. Is Mr. Beast the one with the money trying to get away, and then some other person is trying to catch him, or are the roles reverse? Is Mr. Beast trying to catch somebody who has a bunch of money, is trying to run away? So like I said in the beginning of this video, those weren't all of my ideas. I thought of a lot more stuff, and there would be a lot more work that would have to go into this video for it to ever see the upload button. But I did have a lot of fun working through this kind of mental exercise and just showing you what my thought process was and how I'd address some of these different problems. If you are somebody from the MrBeast recruitment team who happened to come across this video, I would love to sit down for a more formal interview. If you're not, and you just ended up watching or clicking this video because you thought it was interesting or cool, I hope you enjoyed. Thank you. Appreciate your time, and have a great one. Peace.